Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to do the first chapter named as the last lesson from our book Flamingo. Right? This lesson, thank you so much, dear. Am I audible? Am I audible, dear Nishchal and Poonam and
Yes,
other?
ma'am.
Thank you, Beta. Thank you. So, dear students, today's lesson is the last lesson, Flamingo, last lesson. This lesson has a setting, or you can say set in the days of Franco-Prussian War, in which France was defeated by Prussia led by Bismarck. Prussia then consisted of what now are the nations of Germany, right? Poland and parts of Austria. In this story, the French districts of Alsace and Lorraine have passed into Prussian hands. When this all was happening, when these districts, these places, these, you know, these districts, Alsace and Lorraine, were going into the hands of these Prussians, what was the situation of education at that time? The point is, if you want to spoil a nation, spoil its education system. If you want to kill some nation completely and want to spoil it, want to finish it, attack on its education system. You will find everything in few years is finished, right? So there is no attack, but there is an attack on the language. When Germans, when these Prussians captivated the French provinces and the French areas, they imposed their language, that now your French will not be taught, German will be taught. So significance of language, one's mother tongue, one's own language, right? Let me tell you one very basic thing. Suppose I call myself a French, and if I do not know the French language, what type of French person I am, right? I don't know my language. I cannot speak French. I cannot write French. And if I'm a Hindustani and if I do not know Hindi, then I must learn it because I'm calling myself Hindustani, right? And even if we come into the internal diversity of our nation, I call myself a Gujarati or a Bengali or a Tamilian, right? But I don't know as a Tamilian the Tamil or Telugu, whatever the language is. I don't know as a Gujarati language, what type of Gujarati or Bengali or any other person I am. So significance of language, it preserves you, it preserves your culture, it preserves you completely. It restores, right? In terms of identity, in terms of your culture. So I'm beginning with the first part of this lesson. Please open your books and let's begin. I started for school very late that morning and was in great dread of a scolding. The protagonist, the person the narrator is saying that I started for school very late. Now, who all go to school? Students, we teachers, right? He's a small boy, little Franz. We'll call him in the lesson Franz, right? So, I started for school very late that morning and was in great dread of a scolding. I expected a scolding, especially because M. Hamill had said that he would question us on participles. M. Hamill, the school teacher, right, had told us, our teacher had told us, and his name is M. Hamill, that I would be asking questions on participles, and I did not know the first word about them. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. So every time they used to think of running and spending the days out. This was his habit. It was so warm, so bright that it was tempting me, attracting me that I should run away out and should not go to school to attend that dreadful class of participants. Small, young Franz is thinking this way. Right? Right, dear students? This much part is clear. This is just the introduction. Franco-Prussian war setting. The schools, French schools are going on, and a small French school in a village or a small town. And there is a boy who wishes or who is going to school and is thinking about the lesson today that would be conducted, and he does not want to go to school. It was all much more tempting than the rule for participles. Let me finish some more lines. The birds were chirping at the edge of the woods, and in the open field back of the sawmill the Prussian soldiers were drilling. Now, presence of Prussian soldiers drilling in the morning tells us that the town has been captivated by Prussians, right? And that's why they are drilling in the morning and the child could see when he's going to school. But I had, okay, let me give you a wonderful example. Our school is set in the Cant area. Opposite to school area, you see a long road and the Cant and all every 2-3 kilometers you see, even more, right? Till you cross out the particular or you pass out the particular area and you go into the another area, boundaries of another area of the city. So if you find some different soldiers, not Indian soldiers drilling, sometimes you see on the road, they are running, they are jogging, the drill is going on, or something, some activities when we come to school and when we go to school, especially when we come to school. So, okay. So we were talking that if you see something unusual, won't it bring thoughts into your mind also? That every day I'm seeing these type of things. Now today something unusual is there. So for this boy, but he was so young that he did not understand much at this juncture. That why these soldiers were drilling, and he was attracted to them, right? He was attracting, and he says the birds were chirping at the edge of the woods and in the open field back of the sawmill. The Prussian soldiers were drilling. It was all much more interesting than the rule for participles. But I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. But I resisted all this temptation and reached my school. Dear students, can you see the screen shared? Clear? Okay, let's move further. So, when I passed the town hall, now when he hurried to school after resisting all the temptation, right? When he passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. For the last 2 years of for the last 2 years, all our bad news had come from there. The lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer. And I thought to myself without stopping, what can be the matter now? Now, dear students, I want to, you know, tell you something here that he was, you know, when he hurried off to school after resisting all the temptations of seeing the birds chirping and the Prussians drilling, he passed the town hall and there was a crowd standing there near the bulletin board. There was a town bulletin board. You get the information through what? Bulletin boards of school, of residential societies and associations. And this small town had a bulletin board and the crowd was there. For the last 2 years, all the bad news had come from there. And he thought, what can be the matter now? So, right? And we see, then I hurried by as fast as I could go. The blacksmith watcher who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin called after me. Now, when I ran for my school, there were few people. The blacksmith watcher who was there, right? And with his apprentice, with his companion, with his assistant, right? The helper, and reading the bulletin. And they called after me, don't go so fast, Bab, you'll get to your school in plenty of time. What is there to hurry? When you are coming to school and you are late, your mama shouts or your mama tells, beta, you will be late. But there the elders, the villagers, not the parents, but the villagers are not so worried about. Sorry, dear kids, let's continue. Okay, now, yes, then as I hurried by as fast as I could go, the blacksmith, the watcher who was there with his apprentice reading the bulletin, called after me, don't go so fast, Bab, you will get to your school in plenty of time. And there is an exclamation mark, and this has been said by a villager who was standing at the bulletin board. I thought he was making fun of me and reached M. Hamel's little garden all out of breath. Usually, when school began, there was a great bustle, right? Like there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of hustle bustle, ringing of the bells, which could be heard out in the street. The opening and the closing of the desk, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better. And the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table. So M. Hamel was a teacher who used to have a ruler and he used to rap on the, and these noises were always there, right? Fine. And today what was the situation? But now it was also still. You can underline today, very unusual. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. But of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. So when he entered the class today, generally there was commotion. When people come, nobody observes them. But when everything is settled and everyone is silent and someone comes, then he or she is quite visible, quite prominent, quite witnessed, quite noticed, right? And if a lot of noise is there, everyone is settling, people are entering, no one notices. But when everything is settled and you enter at the time, you have to say a few pleasant words. Excuse me, may I come in? you know you're not the part of the natural flow now. So this happened with little Franz also. I saw my classmates, right? And everything was as quiet as if it was a Sunday morning. What happens on Sunday morning in school? Even in our school, the gates are closed, right? The peons are less in number, the people are less in number, school office is closed, no entry, silence, complete silence. So this was as if Sunday morning was there. Through the window, I saw my classmates already in their places and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how I blushed and how frightened I was, but nothing happened. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, go to your place quickly with little Franz. We were beginning without you. Now, M. Hamel guided him kindly, go to your place, little Franz, quickly. And I was about to begin without you, right? I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that a teacher had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap all embroidered, right? Now the teacher also in different clothes, different that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. These were the clothes that he used to wear when there was some occasion, right? Some auspicious occasion, prize giving ceremonies, inspections. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and serious and solemn. But the thing that surprised me most was to see on the back benches that were always empty, the village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, several others besides, were sitting in the classroom. This much is clear, dear students. Is this much clear? Very good. Very good. You know, when you reflect, it happens smoothly to connect the next thing, right? Yes. So these villagers, the old people, the retired people, the former mayor, the old houser, the former postmaster, all these people were sitting in this class. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. So he had brought that old ancient type of primer where you write, right? So while I was wondering about it all, M. Hamill mounted his chair and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow, and this is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive. You go home or you come to school and you are informed that today is your last day, you won't be allowed to study." What a thunderclap these things are going to be for you, right? How disheartening it is going to be, how sad it is going to be, right? No matter even if you did not find interest in your studies, but you know that how much my lessons are important. What a thunderclap these words were to me, right? So, oh, the wretches, that was what they had put up at the town hall. 8, 9 year old little Franz could understand. Oh, this was the message which was the crowd was reading on the bulletin board, right? Through the bulletin board, this message has come. That's why the people were reading. So, this was that bad news which had come. My last French lesson, why I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs or going sliding on the Sahar. My books, going near the river, going for the birds' eggs. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago. My books were nonsense things for me. Nuisance, right? All of a sudden, they had become so important, which was so heavy to carry. My grammar and my history of the saints were old friends now that I couldn't give up. All of a sudden, this transformation took place in me. I hated my books, and all of a sudden, I started liking them, right? And M. Hamill, too, the idea that he was going away, my cranky teacher, my fussy teacher, my teacher who used to scold me, is going, that I should never see him again. Again, sorry, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. All these things were a big blow on my head, or very surprising and sadly, creating some feelings, and some precipitations were taking place within me. Poor man, it was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. Oh, that's the reason that this is today's last class, and he's wearing those special clothes. And now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. So the question, why the old people were sitting at the back of the room? Because it was the last lesson. Have you understood, dear students? Offline as well as online? Very good. Very good. So this is going on, and we are moving with the experience of little Franz with his teacher M. Hamill, right? So that's why he understood that why the villagers, it was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. It was their way of thanking a master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. Are you getting my point? Like, this was the reason. I'll share the screen again. Okay, so these people were sitting there. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service, right? Why the old men of the villagers were sitting there? To pay thanks to the teacher who has spent 40 years, 40 long years in this place. It was their way of, you can underline with the pencil, it was their way of thanking a master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs and no more. While I was thinking all this in the class, when he was thinking all these things, that why the elderly people are sitting, why that old mayor, old postmaster, and why that hawser and all those people are sitting with some particular names and their designations he has referred. So why these people were sitting? Because they were sad too that this was their last French lesson. And the 40-year-old teacher who has spent all his time is forced to leave the country or leave the place. While I was thinking all this, of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for participle all through, very loud and clear and without one mistake? But I got mixed up on the first words and stood there holding on to my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. I heard M. Hamill say to me, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time. Oh, we have a lot of time. I'll do it tomorrow. We'll do this thing tomorrow. And we all know, dear students, that that tomorrow is very, very difficult. Sometimes the chapters are closed. That tomorrow never comes. And these chapters are not book lessons which we can still open, but these are life lessons. So this chapter of French classes was going to close in the town of Alsace and these invaded places or captivated places or conquered places, right? So now I heard M. Hamill say to me, M. Hamill was saying to him, I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, ah, I have plenty of time. I'll learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out. And that's the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. And that's the condition with Alsace, that she puts on learning till tomorrow. Right? Please check that that switch is on. Okay. Now let us continue to this part. And now you see where we have come out. And that's the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. Now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen, yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? This is what I explained you in the beginning, right? That you don't know French, what type of French you'll be. And he tells them that people, these French, these Prussians, these Germans are going to say to you, right? And the screen is clear, dear kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now she puts off learning till tomorrow. Now those fellows out there, now who are these fellows? The Prussians who have, controlled them, or those whose rules will be followed now. How is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? But you are not the worst, poor little France. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. We all must feel regretful. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. And I have been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go to fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? He blames himself also. He blames the villagers also. He blames the students also, that we all were so casual in our approach. We were so casual. Then from one thing to another, M. Hamill went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful. This is the map that you can go through. If you see here, Alsace, Lorraine and all, and nearby is Germany. And this dotted line you can see, right? Now, let's move to the part, and then we'll continue tomorrow. Then from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world. Learn this line. What did M. Hamel said about the French language? That most beautiful language in the world, the clearest and most logical, right? That we must guard it among us and never forget it, because when people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. If you hold your language, no one can transform you into other community, or into force you into other culture or tradition. The most important thing, you keep hold on your language, your mother tongues, your languages, your national language, as long as they hold fast to their language, as if, or it is as if they had the key to their prison. Then he opened a grammar lesson or grammar book and read out the lessons of grammar. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. All he said seemed so easy, so easy. I think too that I'd never listened so carefully, and that he had never explained everything with so much of patience. Today he was very much patient, and I was a keen learner. So everything seemed so easy, so wonderful, that I could understand all the things that I could cap imbibe. The right word would be, his speed was wonderful, his learning capacity has increased, because he has understood the significance of his class, his language, his learning, right? Dear students, we'll continue in the next class, right? God bless you all.